So the trade deadline has just passed, and the Packers have decided not to come in and make a trade. I was sitting around in my other room over there, constantly, having my phone there. I always have like tons of Twitter notifications on for like lots of the reporters, Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, lots of those guys. I was waiting. Every time I got a notification, I was like, the Packers make a trade? Nope. Packers make a trade? Nope. Packers make a trade? Nope. So the Packers didn't end up making a trade. There were talks yesterday that maybe they would. We had Matt LaFleur saying we're doing our due diligence. We're working to try to find something. And it's probably just that the Packers weren't able to find a deal that really, made sense for this Green Bay Packers team. So I don't think it's the end of the world that the Packers didn't make a trade. I just think as fans, it's always fun. We sort of hope that maybe the Packers, or just, I feel like any fan base in general, you're sort of hoping that your team comes in, makes some kind of big splash move just because it's exciting, it's fun, it gives you, more hope for the future. So even though the Packers didn't make some crazy trade or make any trade at all, I still have hope. I still believe that this Packers team will be A-okay. Obviously, right now, we're still dealing with injuries, and so once we get lots of these players back, this team will be up here. We're like right here right now. We'll be like way up here. Once Zadarius Smith comes back, Jair Alexander, who else we got there? MVS. But taking a look around the rest of the NFL, there were a couple trades that went down. Of course, yesterday, Von Miller was traded to the Rams, which I think was probably the biggest trade of the past couple days. With the Rams sending a second and a third round draft pick over there to the Denver Broncos, who maybe don't have high hopes of going deep in the playoffs this year. They're a pretty, average team this year. So it makes sense that they trade an aging guy in Von Miller for a couple picks, a second and a third round draft pick, which are, draft picks. Those things are pretty valuable. So now that Rams team, they're going all the way in. They've traded away their draft picks, bringing in Matthew Stafford this offseason, and now they bring Von Miller to that defensive line with Leonard Williams as well as Aaron Donald. That defense is already one of the best in the NFL, and they definitely just got a lot scarier. So the Rams are going all the way in. Another trade today that happened, Melvin Ingram traded from the Steelers to the Chiefs. That makes sense. This Chiefs defense has been terrible this year, so they bring in a guy to rush the passer there, so maybe that'll help the Chiefs. But the Packers don't end up making a trade. The Packers had $5 million of cap space remaining, so they weren't really able to go in and make some massive, crazy trade. If they did make a trade, it would have been on a guy who, we were able to afford, basically. So, but now what this basically means, I think, for this Packers team, clearly with Robert Tunyon's injury on Thursday, it sort of changed things a little bit just when it came to the trade market, because it sort of made sense that, okay, if Robert Tonyan just went down for the season, maybe the Packers want to come in and make a trade for a tight end. At least for me personally, that's what I thought would make the most sense for the Packers if they did make a trade, potentially go in and trade for a tight end, but that didn't happen. But now this just means, the Packers have hope in, Mercedes Lewis, Josiah DeGuara, as well as Dominique Daphne. So I think, those guys are good enough to, I think, get the job done for this Packers offense. One thing I also want to note is the Washington football team actually signed Jay Sternberger, who was on this Packers team, earlier in training camp, earlier this season before he got released by the Packers. And he was actually just released, I think, today in the past few hours from the Washington football team. So maybe the Packers want to come in and sign him to this team, considering, he's been with Green Bay. He knows what goes on here. Maybe they want to come in and sign him. I feel like that could sort of make sense. So we'll see if that happens, or maybe they just want to not. Maybe they want to keep him off this team, but we will see. Maybe that's a possibility for the Packers in their tight end situation. But there were a couple moves that happened today for the Packers. If we take a look here at Rob Demovsky, he summed it up here saying, full roundup of Packers moves today. Released long snapper Hunter Bradley, who has been the long snapper for a while for this Packers team. Linebacker Jalen Smith, I already made a video on that about Jalen Smith being released by this Packers team, potentially opening up a roster spot for, who knows, maybe Zadarius Smith, maybe David Bakhtiari, maybe someone else. Also releasing linebacker Aaron Adioe. Some of these names are difficult, from the practice squad. Then we signed long snapper Steven Wirtle to the roster. We'd already signed him to the practice squad, I believe. I think we just moved him basically to the actual roster. And then we signed a defensive lineman, Abdullah Anderson, to the practice squad. And he's a guy who was actually already on the Packers, but the Packers released him back in September, I believe. So we have another defensive lineman there on the practice squad. Then we placed Kurt Benkert on the COVID-19 list. So no trade for the Packers today, but we did elevate a long snapper. So that's, very, very exciting. That's the exciting news you guys were hoping for today. I actually also just got a notification from Rob Demovsky, luckily right before I was about to finish this video, that says the Packers worked out outside linebacker Camille Corrier on Tuesday. He's an interesting one. Has played 63 NFL games, originally a second-round pick off of the Ravens in 2016. Most recently played 9 games for Jacksonville last season, was cut by the Chiefs before camp started this summer. So we got a nice little update there on Twitter by Rob Demovsky. I use Twitter to get all my updates here. I have lots of, reporters, notifications on. That's where I get my news. But If you guys have yet to follow me on Twitter, Luke_Beller, for things I do not post on my YouTube channel. So if you want to stay up to date with things, whenever the Packers news goes down, I'm starting to put it out there first on Twitter. So go follow me there to get it first. And then I usually put out these videos like anywhere from like 30 minutes to a couple hours, depending on if I'm in this room or at home ready to, make a video. But that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about in this video. But thank you guys for watching. As always, drop a like. It really helps push the video out to more people with the YouTube algorithm. So drop a like if you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.